every year during June, Cole, we get to this period of the off season where people get really worried for whatever reason about people showing up to work. The Bengals have brought this to everybody's attention because they only had 3 OTA practices. Before we jump in, is there, in your opinion, a more overblown conversation that we have on a regular basis than something OTAs?
No, it's the most ridiculous thing we talk about consistently during the football season is who's at OTAs, who showed up, what they're doing, how many they have. To be honest with you, it's just pretty ridiculous.
Let's jump into this OTA conversation. Do players practice enough? Do they not? Let's hear what ESPN has to say on the subject.
Also below 6 total OTAs was the Browns. The Eagles and the Dolphins had 6 of their possible 10. The Eagles also they just says, you know what? No need. Take
a good look at that list, Cole. Take a good look at that list. Because I remember when I was telling people, oh, it's not a big deal that this player didn't go to OTAs or that player didn't go to OTAs. Or you think the Eagles aren't taking full advantage. You think the Bengals aren't taking full advantage. Now, Myles Garrett just didn't go to OTAs. The whole team didn't go to like all of the OTAs for the Bengals.
It's almost like professional football players who have been playing football for like what, 15, 20 years. You know, I feel like they know what they're doing. That's just me though.
They don't need to go to the work orientation. They don't need to do it. They don't need to do it. Like, that's what this is. It's a work orientation. It's the first day of school. Remember the first day of school? First day, I used to skip the first day of school after like 10th grade. You know what I mean? Like after my freshman orientation, dog, I wasn't going to no more first day of schools. Except for like my first day of like college or something like that, because that was fun. You get to meet all the people, you know, you get to set your targets for the semester academically. Of course, I'm speaking about, and you get to set your plans, you know, but that's what it is. You know, it's like, hey, come here. This is where you go. This is what we do. You know, it's not really that important. But I was thinking about, why do we make the OTA stuff so important? And I think a lot of it has to do with, like, in the States, we have a 40-hour work week culture, right? And a lot of the mythology that we have around great men or women is about how hard they work and how these guys aren't getting any sleep and how sleep deprived these guys are, and, you know, how hard everybody's working. Even when people praise me, it's about my work ethic, like, a lot of times. And there's nothing wrong with praising somebody's work ethic, and there's nothing wrong with having a strong work ethic. But reducing somebody's ability to be successful at what their job is based on work ethic alone, when we don't know how much work it actually takes to be good at that thing, is something that I find interesting with this sports conversation, because every single one of us that got a job that we don't get paid by the hour, and even if you do get paid by the hour, sometimes you do this too. Hey man, our job might take like 25 hours a week. You know what I mean? But there's a couple hours in that job where you just making it seem like you doing job, right? Like, hey, I gotta make it seem like I'm busy, so people don't like try to dock my pay, try to make me do way more than I need to, or something like that. And I think how different and how much more healthy, and honestly, how much more quality work would we get done if we just didn't have to do that? Like, if we could just say, hey man, this takes 2 hours, I'll do the 2 hours, and nobody would be like, now I got to give you 8 hours of work. Like, if we just didn't have to play that game, how much more productive would things be? And football is one of them areas where I feel like the players like, yo dog, we don't need all this. And the coach is like, yeah, they don't need to do all this. Like, this is ridiculous. But then while they see that as something reasonable because they're in it, we look at it from the outside looking in, from the way that we look at work, and go, oh my God, these players are lazy. They're skipping off the clock. When it's like, most of they work. I was talking about this with Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett's work could be better done with his personal training and with his coaching at the house. Like, what's he trying to do during the offseason? He's trying to get bigger.
I'm glad you said that because this is going to go into my point. And my point is this. I don't even think it's just crazy. I think it's insulting for fans to assume that because a player's not at OTAs, they're not working. When you know with professional athletes, as opposed to people who just work 9 to 5s or people who have regular jobs, professional athletes have to train like year round to get prepared to deal with the physical toll and to be productive and to also deal with the physical toll of an entire NFL season, not even including the postseason. So if guys go to OTAs, which like you said, is basically just orientation. This is like, hey, you're supposed to go here. It's OTAs is important for rookies, undrafted rookies who got picked, like people who try to make the team. It's important for them. For established NFL players, especially when we're talking about Myles Garrett, who's arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL, you don't need to go to OTAs.
And it's also about what position you play. Because like Joe Burrow probably needs a couple days in OTAs, right? Just to like get used to everybody again, know he's going to run. Okay, during this look, just get a quick refresh before he goes off for summer break. Like, that's fine. Like, I can understand why a quarterback would want to be there. On top of the optics, right? Like, we got to deal with media. The quarterback doesn't show up. If your name's not Tom Brady, that becomes a big deal. So, like, the optics of it matter. But if you're not the quarterback, or like at least a wide receiver, I don't like, what do you do during OTAs? Like, a lot of times we just see these dudes hitting tackling dummies in the sun. Like, their time could be better spent elsewhere. And you jumped on it because what this conversation turns into during the year, it morphs from the OTA conversation to the, oh my God, Cole, I saw this guy at Barrio at 9:00 before a game. You know what I mean? Like, I saw this guy here or there, or was this guy partying the night before, or this or that. And it's this constant need to feel like it's this constant like need that we have to micromanage pro athletes on their job to feel better that they're going to be able to do their job when we don't know what goes into like actually being good at that job. Because I could talk about what goes wrong on the football field because I've studied that and like learned it, and I have my own opinion on that. But I can't tell you what goes into being a top tier athlete. That ain't never been me. I don't know what you got to do to maintain a 4-3. I don't know what you have to do to maintain a 5-2-5 bench. I've never done that, right? So maybe I need to be open to the idea that the work for that might look different than what I think. Maybe you do need a little bit more private work. And also it gets thrown into this whole thing of like, oh, they used to work harder back in the day. But dudes maintain their shape now 24/7, like all year. They maintain their shape. Dudes back in the day used to be out of shape to start camp and would use camp to get back into shape. And if you think I'm making this up, literally listen to any old head talk about it. They tell on themselves. We're like, see, camp needs to be longer because it needs to whip them boys into shape. No, it needed to whip you back into shape. Okay, that's what camp was for.
Man, and even
because you want to work it out.
Look at old athletes, like even Shaq. Shaq notorious for being out of shape, like during training camp. They say he used to get in shape during the regular season, dog. Like you're like the first couple months of the regular season, he needed it to get back in shape.
Akeem Olajuwon used to say, I only work like 4 days out the year. And that's what he played. Shaq, David Robinson, and I think Patrick Ewing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and this is not to degrade athletes of back in the day, but like the stuff that we get on, well, not all of the stuff, but like the weight stuff that we get on Zion Williamson about, that was normal 20 years ago. That dudes would just be, Lamar Odom used to show up out of shape all the time before he had all of those other issues, and he would be fine. Like Zach Randolph used to be out of shape at camp every year, and it would be fine. You know what I mean? So this thought that like athletes are inherently lazy or that they inherently don't want to work when they spend their entire lives working on this craft on a level that's insane, borderline insane. Like the amount of working out that you have to do to maintain a professional athlete's body is insane. It's a full-time job.
Full-time
That's
job.
That's not, I just go to the gym for an hour a day. Like,
That's good for me and you. That's great for me and you.
you know what I
It ain't good for LeBron James.
mean? Yeah, it's a full-time investment, you know? And I think as we get more information about what these dudes actually do in the offseason, we're getting better and better about that. But every once in a while, we'll hear one of these like lashbacks from like legacy media about, oh, these athletes are lazy. Oh, they don't want to work. Oh, this and that. When it's like, this is a job that is very difficult to maintain during the offseason. And some people are going to have different approaches. And also, when have you worried about Myles Garrett or Nick Chubb being in shape? Are we really worried about Jamar Chase showing up in shape? I promise you, Jamar Chase going to be a problem, despite the fact that the Bengals only had 3 OTA practices. I promise you, everybody on the Eagles will be good. Okay? Despite the fact that hey, you think Tyreek Hill going to lose a step? I don't think so, you know? But the Dolphins only practiced 6 times, Cole. You know, maybe he's going to get lazy. Like, I promise you, their ability to perform athletically is their livelihood. They are thinking about it more than you at home. Like, they just are. I promise you. They have more of a plan than you at home, you know, who thinks they should be working out every day. I promise you, they're putting in the work. Okay?
The more you think about it, the more ridiculous it is. Like, bro, there's millions of dollars on the line based on my athletic performance. You don't think I'm more worried about it than you?
Who's only worried about feeling good on Mondays? We think we got more in it to do. Like, we really convince ourselves that we got more in it than these dudes.
Millions
actually getting hit. Like, they got millions on the line. Their livelihood, their ability to feed their children is on the line every week. And we out here thinking that we take it more seriously to do because we might bet $300 on a game every once in a while. Like, it's nuts. It's nuts that we think about it this way. It's absolutely nuts.
Oh, Lord. Oh, God.
But that's all right about OTA.